Chapter 181, Two Worlds Become One. Inside the researcher's headquarters, Kyan's finger rested on the confirmation button. The room fell silent. Even the husky stopped smiling. This would be the biggest update since the dungeon system was created. Shun looked at the final report. Both worlds have stable economies. Akira continued. Phone adoption exceeds 90% in both worlds. Ren added. Both dungeon systems have remained stable for months. Daichi grinned. And both sides have finally learned not to underestimate the bosses. Everyone laughed. Kyan nodded. Then, no more delays. He pressed the button. Server merge initiated. 10%, 35%, 67%, 100%. At that exact moment, every phone in both worlds vibrated. A golden notification appeared. System update, congratulations. Both worlds have successfully completed the integration requirements. Beginning today, the two independent servers will officially merge into one. You may now encounter players from another world during dungeon matchmaking. World chat has been merged. Rankings have been merged. Friend lists remain unchanged. Direct travel between worlds is still prohibited. Trade between worlds remains available only through the cross-dimensional market. Enjoy. Silence. The ninja world froze. The pirate world froze. Both sides stared at the notification. On the Oro Jackson, Roger blinked. Another world. Rayleigh slowly reread the notification. So, they weren't talking about different seas. They literally meant, another world. On Hashinosu, Rock smiled for the first time in days. So, there really was another civilization. Inside Mary Gioi's, even Imu's calm expression changed slightly. Their words were literal. The five elders remained speechless. Inside Konoha, Hashirama scratched his head. So, we're not alone anymore. Madara folded his arms. I've been wondering when they'd merge the servers. Tobarama immediately asked, what kind of people live in that world? Elsewhere, the retired five Uchihas simply smiled. They had known this day would eventually come. Then, world chat refreshed. Instead of millions of users, the number instantly doubled. Messages flooded the screen so quickly that nobody could read them. Pirate what? Ninja, another world. Marine, is this a joke? Konoha ninja, we thought you were another hidden village. Pirate, what's a hidden village? Ninja, what's a pirate? Pirate, wait, you don't have oceans. Ninja, wait, you don't use chakra. The world chat exploded into complete chaos. Inside the researcher's headquarters, Akira smiled helplessly. I expected this. Daichi laughed. They're introducing themselves already. Ren looked at the rapidly moving messages. No wars, no panic, just curiosity. Shun nodded. Because they met through phones first. They've been prepared for this moment. The husky wagged its tail. You five have officially connected two completely different civilizations. Kyan quietly looked at the two world maps. For months, the ninja world and the pirate world had developed independently. Today, they had become part of the same network. Not through conquest, not through war, but through communication. And somewhere among the millions of messages, a ninja and a pirate began arguing over whose world had the stranger monsters. The server merger had begun. Chapter 182, the first cross-world dungeon. One day after the server merger, the world chat was still in complete chaos. Pirate, you people can walk on trees. Konoha ninja, you people fight using rubber. Pirate, what's chakra? Ninja, what's a devil fruit? Pirate, wait, you can spit fire without eating a fruit. Ninja, wait, you lose the ability to swim for power. Every few seconds, a new argument started. Every few minutes, someone discovered something unbelievable about the other world. Inside the researcher's headquarters, Daichi laughed so hard he almost fell from his chair. They're comparing everything. Akira smiled. They're also exchanging combat theories. Ren pointed toward another screen. Look, thousands of discussions had already appeared. Chakra versus Haki. Swordsmanship of samurai versus pirate swordsmen. Medical ninjutsu versus pirate doctors. Sealing techniques. Navigation across oceans. The exchange of knowledge had begun naturally. Shun nodded. Good. Kyan looked at the next phase of the plan. It's time. He pressed another button. Every phone vibrated. A golden notification appeared. Dungeon system update starting today. Cross-world matchmaking has officially begun. When entering public dungeons, your teammates may come from either world. Communication barriers have been automatically removed by the system. Work together. Good luck. The entire world chat froze. Roger blinked. So, I can fight beside a ninja. Hashirama laughed. And I can finally meet a pirate. Madara folded his arms. Interesting. Rock slowly smiled. Now, this sounds entertaining. Inside the first matchmaking queue, the system began searching, matching. A few seconds later, 5 strangers appeared inside the waiting room. One wore a Konoha forehead protector. One carried 2 swords. One had blue skin. One had white hair. One looked like an ordinary fisherman. Everyone stared at each other. The pirate scratched his head. You're really a ninja. The Konoha ninja nodded. And you're really a pirate. The fisherman nervously raised his hand. I've never fought beside either. The countdown appeared. Dungeon starting in 3, 2, 1. The five were instantly transported into the orc fortress. At first, nobody moved. The pirate finally shouted, "Who's the leader?" The ninja answered immediately, "I'll handle scouting. I'll be the front line," said the swordsman. The fisherman looked confused. "What should I do?" A medical ninja smiled. "Stay behind us. If someone gets injured, help me." The pirate blinked. "You already have a plan." The ninja smiled. "We've been clearing team dungeons for over a year." The pirate grinned. "Then, I'll trust you." Inside the researchers' headquarters, Akira watched the live statistics. Cross-world teams have a 78% success rate. Ren looked surprised. Higher than expected. Shun nodded. They're combining different combat styles. On the battlefield, the pirates' armament hockey blocked a powerful axe strike. At the same moment, the ninja's shadow clone distracted the orcs. The medical ninja healed the wounded instantly. The swordsman finished the opening created by the pirate. Everything flowed naturally. Daichi smiled. "They're adapting faster than I thought." The husky wagged its tail excitedly. "Look at world chat." Messages flooded the screen. "Pirate ninja teammates are amazing. Ninja pirates are ridiculously tough. Marine, I never thought I'd fight beside someone from another world. Konoha Jonin hockey and chakra work surprisingly well together. Pirate who invented shadow clones. That's cheating. Ninja, says the guy who punched through solid steel with hockey. Laughter filled both worlds. The fear that existed yesterday had almost completely disappeared. Kyan quietly watched the statistics. "This is exactly what we wanted." Shun nodded. People stop fearing strangers once they fight together. Outside, thousands of mixed teams continued clearing dungeons. For the first time in history, a ninja trusted a pirate to guard his back. A pirate trusted a ninja to lead the way. Two completely different civilizations had taken their first step, not as rivals, but as teammates. Chapter 183, Stories Across Two Worlds. One day after the server merger, the first thing everyone noticed wasn't world chat, it was the rankings. The global rankings had completely changed. Global rankings. Rank 1, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, level 29. Rank 2, Hamura Otsutsuki, level 29. Rank 3, Hashirama Senju, level 25. Rank 4, Madara Uchiha, level 25. Rank 5, Rox D. Zebek, level 22. Rank 6, Amu, level 22. Rank 7, Gal D. Roger, level 21. Rank 8, Monkey D. Garp, level 21. The entire pirate world fell silent. Pirate, level 29. Marine, 7 levels higher than Rox. Kingdom Soldier, who are these people? Even the legends were shocked. On Hashinosu, Rox stared at the rankings. "So, we're not even close." Whitebeard smiled. "Looks like another world already has its own monsters." On the Oro Jackson, Roger laughed. "Ha ha ha, now that's exciting. I want to meet them someday." Meanwhile, someone from the pirate world asked a simple question in world chat. "Pirate, who are the creators of the phones and the dungeon system?" The next second, world chat exploded. Thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands of ninja began typing. The pirate world watched in amazement. Konoha ninja, they were 5 ordinary Uchiha. Hidden Mist ninja, officially dead. Sand ninja, average chunin while they lived. Uchiha clan member, they hid everything from childhood. Leaf shinobi, orphans. No parents, no teachers, no powerful backing. Another ninja, they awakened their mangekyo by inventing methods of self-torture. Research division, they spent their childhood researching forbidden techniques instead of playing. Konoha Jonin, they even exposed the flaws in countless secret jutsu after their houses were investigated. The pirate world became quieter and quieter. Roger slowly lowered his phone. "They're insane." Rayleigh nodded. "They sound more like researchers than warriors." Even Amu quietly read every message, not saying a word. Then, a ninja suddenly asked another question. "Konoha ninja, when the phones first appeared, didn't anyone in your world try to stop them?" The pirate world immediately answered. "Marine, yes. Pirate, the world government tried. Merchant, they threatened the distributor. Another player. Then they were all found hanging in front of the main gate of Mary Gioi's. Dozens of photographs were uploaded. The 5 elders, the gods' knights, CP0, even Amu, all unconscious, hanging before the gates. The ninja world became strangely quiet. Then, messages flooded in. Cloud ninja, they really never change. Stone ninja, R5 Cage tried the same thing. Mist ninja, they were beaten unconscious and hung in front of their own villages. Photos began appearing one after another. The 5 Cage, Danzo, village officials, all hanging before their village gates. The pirate world stared at the images. Pirate, wait, they did the same thing in your world. Leaf shinobi, yes, that was only the first warning. Another ninja, they don't kill people for interfering. They humiliate them. Pirate, our world government didn't learn the first time either. Marine, they interfered again. Merchant, then the 5 elders and gods' knights were hung a second time. Another player replied immediately. Pirate, To be fair, our world government had been acting high and mighty for centuries. Maybe they needed the lesson. A ninja quickly answered, Konoha Jonin, that's exactly what happened in our world. After the first warning, most people learned. Those who didn't, learned after the second. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi burst into laughter. They're comparing punishments now. Ren smiled. The two worlds are exchanging history. Akira looked at the rapidly moving world chat. No lies, no propaganda, just people sharing what actually happened. Shun nodded. When ordinary people communicate directly, they don't need governments to tell them what happened. Kaien quietly looked at the merged server. Two completely different worlds were no longer strangers. They were exchanging experiences, comparing histories, laughing at similar mistakes, and slowly realizing that despite living in different worlds, people were far more alike than they had ever imagined. Chapter 184, The Simplest Solution. The server merger had connected two worlds. Along with it, came countless stories. One topic, however, immediately attracted everyone's attention. The dungeons. Pirate, you have no idea what we suffered during the last month. Marine, every new dungeon was a nightmare. Pirate, sometimes there were two bosses. Another pirate, sometimes the boss had an entire elite squad. Marine, sometimes the dungeon itself tried to separate your team. Pirate, every time we thought we understood the pattern, they changed everything. Kingdom Knight, we died so many times that some of us started dreaming about dungeon bosses. Pirate, even the legends couldn't pass level 22. We kept losing levels from dying. The ninja world became confused. Leaf Ninja, wait, that never happened to us. Cloud Ninja, our dungeons gradually became harder. But nothing like that. Mist Ninja, we never experienced an entire month of psychological torture. World chat became quiet. Everyone wondered the same thing. Why? At that moment, a familiar name appeared. Tobarama Senju. I think I understand the reason. The entire chat immediately slowed down. Everyone wanted to read Tobarama's analysis. Tobarama Senju. During my investigation of the 5 researchers past, I studied their notes, their experiments, their way of thinking. One conclusion appeared again and again. They dislike unnecessary complexity. He continued. Whenever they encounter a problem, they always search for the simplest solution. Not the easiest for others. The simplest from their point of view. The pirate world listened carefully. Tobarama Senju, looking at your world's history over the past few months, I believe they reached a conclusion. Your world possesses extraordinary talent, but it is also filled with stubborn people, enormous pride, and overwhelming arrogance. Many pirates immediately became embarrassed. Others couldn't even deny it. Tobarama continued typing. Instead of arguing with millions of people, instead of writing endless rules, instead of constantly reminding everyone to work together, they chose a much simpler solution. Create dungeons that repeatedly crush that pride. Silence. After dying enough times, even the proudest person eventually learns to cooperate. Roger suddenly laughed. Ha ha ha, that actually sounds like them. On Hashinosu, even Rock slowly nodded. Quote. He's right. Whitebeard smiled. We stopped trying to prove we were the strongest. We started asking, how do we clear this dungeon? World chat became lively again. Pirate, looking back, that's exactly what happened. Marine, we slowly stopped competing with teammates. We started cooperating. Kingdom Knight, even our training changed. Tobarama wrote one final message. Tobarama Senju, they have another habit. If they discover a flaw in their system, they fix the flaw. But if the flaw comes from the users, they simply fix the users instead. Usually, in the most direct and primitive way possible. The pirate world instantly remembered. The endless boss fights, the humiliating defeats, the repeated level losses, the nightmares. One pirate finally typed, Pirate, so, we weren't being punished. A reply appeared almost immediately. Tobarama Senju, no, you were being educated. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi laughed so hard he had tears in his eyes. Tobarama figured it out completely. Ren smiled. He understands how we think. Akira nodded. He wasn't called a genius for nothing. Shun looked at the message thoughtfully. He missed one thing. Kaien smiled. What? Shun leaned back. We never intended to crush their pride. He looked at the battle statistics from the previous month. We only wanted them to stop making the same mistake. The husky burst into laughter. Different words, same result. The 5 researchers looked at each other and smiled. Sometimes, the simplest solution really was the most effective one. Chapter 185, Pure Madness. With the 2 servers merged, the battle archive was also shared. Players from both worlds could now watch recordings of famous dungeon battles. The most viewed recording had only one title, 5 Uchiha vs. Level 30 Dark Knight. At first, the pirate world watched out of curiosity. Then, everyone forgot to breathe. The Dark Knight's sword descended. Daichi met it head-on with a hockey-coated punch. Boom. The impact shattered the surrounding mountains. Roger's eyes widened. That punch. Garp grinned. I like that kid. The battle continued. Ren and Shun attacked from opposite directions. Neither fought for individual glory. Every slash was timed perfectly. Every movement complemented the others. Whitebeard slowly nodded. I've fought alongside countless strong men. But, I've rarely seen teamwork like this. Rayleigh crossed his arms. They trust each other completely. The battle reached its next stage. Akira's chakra threads spread across the battlefield. The threads turned jet black. Armament hockey completely covered them. The pirate world swordsman froze. The hockey users stared at the screen. Akira controlled dozens of threads simultaneously. Each thread spun at terrifying speed. The hockey coating transformed them into countless razor-sharp blades. They cut through rocks, armor, even the Dark Knight's defenses. Shiki narrowed his eyes. He turned armament hockey into a saw. Mahawk, who had also watched the recording, spoke for the first time. Interesting. Another hockey user couldn't help but type into world chat. Pirate, is that even legal? Another message immediately followed. Pirate, we spent decades learning hockey. And this guy turned it into a chainsaw. Someone else added. Pirate, at this point, the string fruit looks completely useless. The world chat filled with agreement. Then, the recording reached its final moments. Daichi suddenly stopped attacking. Instead, he rushed forward, wrapped both arms around the Dark Knight, and held it in place. The pirate world became confused. What is he doing? The answer came immediately. Akira's threads pierced straight through Daichi's body. Ren and Shun drove their swords through both Daichi and the Dark Knight. Kaien's sealing array spread across Daichi's body, protecting his vital organs while Akira continuously healed him. Instead of retreating, Daichi laughed, then grabbed one of the swords piercing his own body, and forced it even deeper, using his own body as the battlefield, using himself as the prison that trapped the enemy. Silence. Complete silence. Roger slowly lowered his phone. He's insane. Whitebeard blinked. I've seen fearless warriors, but this. Kaido burst into laughter. Worororo. I like that bastard. Even Garp scratched his head. I would have never thought of something like that. One by one, comments appeared. Pirate. They're all lunatics. Marine. Absolute lunatics. Swordsman. Every single one of them is crazy. Even Rox D. Zebek commented. Rox D. Zebek. I've fought countless battles. I've seen fearless men, but these 5 are genuine lunatics. For a brief moment, the entire world chat agreed. Then, a familiar name appeared. Madara Uchiha. Don't call them lunatics. You're insulting the lunatics. The chat instantly became quiet. Everyone waited for Madara's explanation. Madara Uchiha. I investigated their childhood. I read their research notes. I saw the methods they created to awaken their eyes. Even I can only describe those ideas as pure madness. He continued. The frightening part isn't their creativity. It's that none of them learned those ideas from each other. Another message appeared. They first met each other at the age of 10. Before that, they were 5 completely unrelated orphans. Yet each of them independently developed absurd, self-destructive ideas. One researched ways to awaken the Mangekyo by torturing himself. Another experimented with impossible sealing techniques. Another pursued combat methods that destroyed his own body. They didn't influence each other. They simply happened to think alike. Madara's final message appeared. I've fought Hashirama. I've fought the strongest people of my era. None of them frightened me as much as reading the childhood notebooks of those 5. Because strength can be understood. Their way of thinking cannot. World chat fell silent. For the first time, the pirate world understood why the ninja world always described the 5 researchers with such complicated expressions. They weren't feared merely because they were powerful. They were feared because nobody could predict what they would think of next. And that was far more terrifying than strength alone. Chapter 186, The 5 Restraints. The world chat remained unusually quiet after Madara's comments. Everyone was still thinking about one sentence. Their way of thinking cannot be understood. Then, another familiar name appeared. Hashirama Senju. After learning about their childhood, we didn't stop our investigation. Everyone's attention shifted to Hashirama. He continued. Madara, Tobarama, Izuna, and I personally investigated everyone who had ever been connected to those 5. Roger blinked. You investigated everyone. Hashirama replied. Yes. Another message appeared. We weren't trying to arrest anyone. We wanted to make sure another one like them would never appear in the ninja world. The pirate world fell silent. Marine, you're exaggerating. Hashirama immediately answered. No, I'm being serious. He continued typing. People misunderstand one thing. The 5 aren't dangerous because they're friends. They're dangerous because they restrain each other. The world chat became completely silent. Hashirama continued. Every time one of them has an absurd idea, the other 4 improve it, point out its flaws, or stop it from becoming even more unreasonable. They constantly challenge each other's thinking. Without those 4, any one of them could have become far more dangerous. Hashirama paused for a moment, then added another thought. If you call those 5 monsters, you're overestimating what a monster is. If you call them lunatics, you're insulting lunatics. And if you call them calculative, Even they themselves don't know what they'll do next. The chat froze. Madara suddenly added another comment. Madara Uchiha Hashirama is correct. During our investigation, we reached the same conclusion. Fortunately, none of the five have any desire to rule the world. They aren't interested in becoming kings. They aren't interested in becoming gods. They're only interested in solving problems and conducting research. Hashirama typed one final message. Hashirama Senju, honestly, if even one of them had dreamed of world domination, the ninja world would have ended long ago, and we probably would have never discovered who was responsible. Silence. Not a single message appeared. Hashirama wasn't finished. That's why we investigated everyone connected to them. We weren't searching for accomplices. We were making sure another person like them didn't exist somewhere. Because if another one appears, without the other four to restrain them, then we are all doomed. The pirate world quietly reread every sentence. Roger slowly smiled. They trust each other that much. Rayleigh shook his head. No, they understand each other that much. Even Rox D. Zebek remained silent. For the first time, he understood why the ninja world feared those five despite rarely seeing them fight. Inside Mary Geoise, the five elders exchanged glances. Saint J. Garcia Saturn spoke quietly. They're fortunate. Saint Marcus Mars nodded. Very fortunate. If those five desired power instead of knowledge, there might not have been a world government left. Inside the researchers' headquarters, the five quietly watched the world chat. Daichi scratched his head. Hashirama really gives us too much credit. Ren laughed. He also makes us sound terrifying. Akira adjusted his glasses. He's not entirely wrong. Shun smiled. We do stop each other. Kaien nodded. When one of us comes up with an extreme solution, the other four force him to justify every step. The husky looked at them curiously. So, you're each other's safety mechanism. The five looked at one another. Then smiled. Exactly. Far away, across both worlds, millions of people finally understood something they had never considered before. The greatest strength of the five researchers wasn't their genius. It wasn't their power. It wasn't even their teamwork in battle. It was that five extraordinary minds constantly prevented each other from becoming monsters. Chapter 187, a question that no one could answer. Hashirama's words lingered in everyone's mind. For a long time, world chat remained unusually quiet. Then, a pirate finally asked the question everyone had been thinking about. Pirate, if the five researchers are so terrifying, why do they spend all their time helping everyone? The chat became lively again. Marine, good question. Kingdom Scholar, they could have ruled either world. Konoha Ninja, yet they never even revealed their identities. Pirate, they don't seem interested in fame either. No one knew the answer. A few moments later, Tobarama typed another message. Tobarama Senju, we investigated that question as well. Everyone immediately stopped chatting. After reading every document we found, we reached one conclusion. The five don't enjoy power. They enjoy solving problems. Another message appeared. For them, every unsolved problem is like an unfinished experiment. Every difficult question is an invitation. Every impossible challenge is something worth researching. Roger burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. So they're researchers before they're warriors. Rayleigh nodded. That explains almost everything. Tobarama continued. Look at everything they've created. Phones, virtual banking, cross-dimensional markets, the dungeon system. None of these increase their political authority. They simply solve problems. Hashirama added another comment. Hashirama Senju, I once wondered why they never became Hokage. Then I realized, they would have considered the paperwork a waste of research time. The ninja world immediately filled with laughing emojis. Even Madara replied. Madara Uchiha, that's probably the most accurate thing you've said. The pirate world also laughed. Roger wiped tears from his eyes. I can actually imagine them running away from paperwork. Even Whitebeard smiled. Gurararara. Then, a new comment appeared. Rox D. Zebek, if they're only interested in research, then why create dungeons? For several seconds, nobody answered. Then, Shun's account suddenly appeared in world chat. It was the first time one of the five had spoken publicly since the server merger. Shun, because research without users is meaningless. The entire chat froze. Another message followed. The dungeon system exists because we wanted to understand how different worlds grow stronger, how different power systems interact, and whether knowledge can be shared across civilizations. A third message appeared. If our research also improves people's lives, then everyone benefits. Silence. No one replied for nearly a minute. Finally, Roger laughed. Ha ha ha, they really are researchers. Rox slowly smiled. So, we've all become part of their experiment. Shun's final message appeared. Correction. You are participants, not subjects. Participation is voluntary. If someone dislikes the dungeon system, they are free not to enter. That single sentence earned respect from both worlds. No one had been forced. Everyone had chosen to participate. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi looked at Shun. You actually replied. Shun shrugged. They deserved an honest answer. Akira smiled. And now they'll probably stop making wild theories. The husky laughed. I doubt that. Outside, across 2 different worlds, millions of people looked at the same conclusion. The 5 researchers weren't trying to build an empire. They were building something far stranger. A place where knowledge, cooperation, and constant improvement were more valuable than power alone. Chapter 188, The Greatest Reward. Shun's reply spread across both worlds. For several days, no major arguments appeared in world chat. Instead, people quietly thought about his words. You are participants, not subjects. Inside Marine headquarters, Garp leaned back in his chair. Ha ha ha, I like those kids. Sengoku looked up from his documents. Why? They're honest. If they wanted to rule us, they could have tried. But instead, they built a playground where everyone grows stronger. Sengoku couldn't argue. On the Oro Jackson, Roger laughed while looking at the rankings. So, we're helping their research. Rayleigh smiled. And they're helping us become stronger. Roger shrugged. Sounds like a fair trade. On Hashinosu, Rox stared at the dungeon system interface. After a long silence, he posted a message. Rox D. Zebek, I've spent my life believing that every deal has a hidden price. Yet after using the phones, the virtual bank, the cross-dimensional market, and the dungeon system, I still haven't found the trap. World chat immediately exploded. Pirate, I've been wondering the same thing. Marine, there has to be a catch. Merchant, nobody gives away this much technology for free. The discussion continued for nearly an hour. Then, a familiar name appeared. Akira, there is a price. Silence. Every message stopped. Akira continued. Every player who clears a dungeon, every strategy shared, every bug report submitted, every creative solution discovered, every new idea, becomes part of our research. That is our reward. Another message followed. We don't collect kingdoms. We don't collect authority. We collect knowledge. The 2 worlds became completely silent. Hashirama smiled. So that's it. Tobarama nodded. Exactly what I expected. Madara folded his arms. They value information more than power. Roger burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, so every time I invent a new fighting method, I'm helping their research. Akira immediately replied. Correct. Roger laughed even harder. Then I'll invent even more. Even Whitebeard smiled. Gurararara, I've never seen researchers so honest. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi leaned back. Well, the secret is out. Ren smiled. It was never really a secret. Shun looked at the scrolling world chat. The best research is research where everyone benefits. Kaien nodded. We gain knowledge. They gain strength. Akira finished. The husky wagged its tail. I've managed countless worlds, but I've never seen anyone treat an entire civilization as research partners. Outside, across 2 worlds, millions of players entered dungeons once again. Not because they were being forced. Not because they had to. But because, for the first time, they understood the real exchange. Every battle they fought made themselves stronger, and every discovery they made helped improve the dungeon system for everyone else. It was perhaps the fairest bargain either world had ever seen. Chapter 189, Where are my sons? Inside the Pure Land, Hagoromo and Hamura quietly read through the endless world chat. Most of the discussion was still about the 5 researchers. Their childhood, their experiments, their impossible way of thinking. Hamura sighed. I still can't believe 5 children like that appeared in one generation. Hagoromo nodded. It wasn't their talent that surprised me. It was their mentality. They never sought power for its own sake. They simply kept solving one impossible problem after another. Hamura smiled. Perhaps the ninja world was fortunate. Hagoromo nodded. Very fortunate. Then, Hagoromo casually glanced at the global rankings. His expression suddenly froze. He looked again, then a third time. Rank 1, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Level 29. Rank 2, Hamura Otsutsuki. Level 29. Hashirama, Madara, Tobarama, Izuna, the legendary figures of the ninja world. Roger, Rox, Whitebeard, Garp, even Amu. Hagoromo frowned. Strange. Hamura looked over. What is it? Hagoromo slowly scrolled through the rankings. Top 10, Top 20, Top 50, Top 100. His expression became increasingly confused. Where are they? Hamura blinked. Who? My sons. The rankings don't have Indra or Asura. Hamura's eyes widened. You're right. For a moment, Hagoromo stood completely still. Then he opened world chat. Without hesitation, he typed a single message. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, Indra, Asura, where the hell are you two? You're not even in the top 100 rankings. Where are you two? The moment the message appeared, world chat exploded. Pirate, wait, the Sage of 6 Paths is looking for his sons. Marine, not even top 100. Konoha Ninja, Lord Indra and Lord Asura aren't in the rankings. Roger laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, a father calling out his sons in world chat. Whitebeard couldn't help smiling. Gurararara, looks like even the sage has family problems. Garp laughed so hard he almost dropped his phone. So even legends worry about useless children. Hamura covered his face. Quote. Brother. What? You could have contacted them privately. Hagoromo looked genuinely confused. Quote. I forgot. Hamura sighed. You forgot your own sons were on your friend's list. Quote. Apparently. World chat exploded with laughter. Pirate. Best father of the century. Marine. He forgot private messages exist. Konoha ninja. Lord Hagoromo is actually hilarious. Madara looked at the chat. Then silently shook his head. Some things never change. Even Tobirama smiled faintly. I've never seen the sage so flustered. Meanwhile, somewhere in the ninja world, two phones vibrated simultaneously. One belonged to Indra, the other to Asura. Both stared at the notification. Then at the millions of people currently reading their father's message. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Indra sighed. Quote. This is embarrassing. Asura scratched his head. Quote. Father really asked in global chat. Both brothers realized the same thing. By now, the entire ninja world, and the entire pirate world, knew they weren't even in the top 100 rankings. Their father had accidentally announced it to millions of people. Chapter 190, the most embarrassing reply. For several minutes, neither Indra nor Asura replied. The entire world chat waited. Roger laughed. Ha ha ha, I've never seen millions of people wait for two brothers to answer their father. Whitebeard grinned. Gurararara, they're probably too embarrassed. Even Rox smiled faintly. If I were them, I wouldn't know how to answer either. Meanwhile, somewhere in the ninja world, Indra looked at his phone. Then at Asura. Quote. You reply. Asura immediately shook his head. No, father asked both of us. You answer first. No. After arguing for nearly 5 minutes, Indra sighed. Quote. Fine. He opened world chat. Indra Otsutsuki. Father. We aren't weak. The entire chat immediately focused on the next message. We simply started much later than everyone else. By the time we revived, most people already had a huge advantage. A second message appeared. Asura Otsutsuki. We've only been clearing dungeons for a short time. Give us a little more time. Before anyone else could comment, Hagoromo replied. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. That's not the point. Everyone froze. Another message appeared. Why are you two not even in the top 100? Indra went silent again. Asura slowly typed. Because we keep arguing inside the dungeon. Silence. Roger blinked. Quote. What? Asura continued. We spend more time arguing about strategy than actually fighting. The pirate world exploded with laughter. Pirate. Ha 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 ha. Marine. They inherited the family tradition. Konoha ninja. Lord Indra and Lord Asura are still arguing. Madara couldn't help commenting. Madara Uchiha. Some things truly never change. Hashirama immediately replied. Hashirama Senju. Maybe you two should stop trying to prove who's right and start clearing the dungeon. Even Tobirama joined in. Tobirama Senju. Congratulations. You've successfully demonstrated why teamwork matters. The world chat erupted once again. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi laughed until he held his stomach. They're still arguing after all these years. Ren smiled. I thought revival would mature them. Akira shook his head. Apparently not. The husky wagged its tail. Family habits are difficult to change. Shun looked thoughtfully at the conversation. They're talented. Kaien nodded. But talent cannot replace cooperation. Just then, a new message appeared. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Indra. Asura. One final piece of advice. The chat instantly became quiet. Stop trying to surpass each other. Try surpassing the dungeon instead. Neither brother replied. But, for the first time in centuries, both quietly entered the same dungeon again. Not to compete, but to clear it together. Watching the scene unfold, Roger smiled. I wonder, will they finally stop arguing? Rayleigh looked at the two brothers' names entering the same dungeon instance. Then smiled. I give them 10 minutes. The entire world chat burst into laughter once more. Chapter 191. Like father, like sons. The next day, the entire world chat was waiting. Not for a new dungeon. Not for a system update. Everyone wanted to know one thing. Did Indra and Asura finally stop arguing? A new battle record appeared in the battle archive. Team. Indra Otsutsuki and Asura Otsutsuki. Within minutes, millions of people opened it. The battle started perfectly. Indra attacked from the front. Asura supported from behind. The orc commanders were quickly defeated. Everything seemed smooth. Roger nodded. Looks like they finally listened. Rayleigh smiled. They're actually cooperating. Then, they reached the boss room. The orc warlord slowly stood up. Battle began. For the first 3 minutes, their teamwork was flawless. Then, Indra suddenly spoke. You attacked too early. Asura frowned. No, you moved too late. Indra replied. If you followed my plan. Asura interrupted. Your plan only works if everyone fights like you. The two continued arguing, while dodging the orc warlord. Roger blinked. They're arguing. During the fight, Whitebeard burst into laughter. Gurararara. They really are brothers. Even the orc warlord paused for a brief moment, as if confused by what it was witnessing. Then, it swung its axe. Boom. Both brothers were sent flying. The world chat exploded. Pirate. Even the boss got tired of listening. Marine. Fight first. Debate later. Konoha ninja. This is embarrassing. Despite the argument, neither brother abandoned the other. Whenever Indra was cornered, Asura immediately rescued him. Whenever Asura made a mistake, Indra covered him without hesitation. Their mouths never stopped arguing. Their actions never stopped protecting each other. Nearly 40 minutes later, the orc warlord finally fell. Dungeon cleared. The brothers stood there, covered in wounds, still arguing. I told you my strategy was better, Indra said. Asura folded his arms. We won because I adapted your strategy. The recording ended. The pirate world laughed until tears filled their eyes. Roger wiped his face. Ha ha ha. They argued for the entire dungeon. Garp laughed even louder. They're exactly like brothers should be. Even Madara couldn't help smiling. They're hopeless. Hashirama sighed. At least they cleared it. Then, a new message appeared. Hamura Otsutsuki. Brother, do you remember what they were like as children? Hagoromo replied almost instantly. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Unfortunately, yes. Another message followed. They argued over everything. Training, food, philosophy, even whose turn it was to clean the house. The pirate world burst into laughter once again. Roger commented. So, they haven't changed at all. Hagoromo answered. Not even a little. Inside the researchers' headquarters, Daichi laughed. They argue more than we do. Ren nodded. And somehow, they still have perfect trust in each other. Akira smiled. That's the strange part. Shun looked at the battle recording. They never doubted each other's ability. They only doubted each other's methods. Kaien nodded. And that's why they still cleared the dungeon. The husky wagged its tail. I finally understand. Understand what? Daichi asked. The husky smiled. Some teammates show trust by agreeing with each other. It seems those two show trust by arguing. Everyone looked back at the battle recording. The brothers had argued from beginning to end. Yet, not once did either hesitate to risk his life for the other. Perhaps that was simply the Otsutsuki family way. Chapter 192, The Hokage Meeting. The Hokage office. A meeting had been called. Everyone present was someone capable of influencing Konoha's future. Hashirama Senju, Tobarama Senju, Minato Namikaze, Orochimaru, Kakashi Hatake, Might Guy, Izuna Uchiha, Shisui Uchiha. Several senior advisors also attended. Only one former Hokage was absent. Hiruzen Sarutobi. This meeting wasn't unusual because of who attended. It was unusual because of why they were there. Much had changed over the past year. Immediately after being revived, Tobarama hadn't involved himself in Konoha's internal affairs. Instead, he had devoted all of his attention to investigating the mysterious 5 Uchiha researchers. For months, nothing else interested him. Only after that investigation officially ended, did Tobarama finally turn his attention back to the village. Within a single week, he uncovered almost every hidden secret buried inside Konoha. The truth behind Tsukumo Hatake's suicide. The gradual disappearance of the Senju clan from the political stage. War orphans being secretly used as would-release experiment subjects. Danzo intentionally leaking classified mission information so talented shinobi outside his control would die before becoming threats. The crimes committed through root, political manipulation, secret assassinations, power struggles, and many more incidents that had remained hidden for years. When Tobarama finished presenting his findings, the meeting had remained silent for several minutes. Only Izuna broke the silence. He looked at Tobarama with a smirk. So, the 5 researchers weren't the only one with talented disciples. Tobarama narrowed his eyes. Izuna continued smiling. You also chose 4 excellent disciples. The room burst into laughter. Even Hashirama couldn't stop himself. Tobarama simply sighed. I deserve that. After that incident, Konoha underwent its largest political reform since its founding. The first reform, the office of Hokage would no longer be held indefinitely. Every Hokage would serve for a fixed term. When that term ended, a successor would be selected. No one, regardless of reputation, would be allowed to hold absolute authority for decades. Tobarama had no intention of allowing another situation like Hiruzen and Danzo. The second reform, the Hokage position officially became open to every qualified shinobi. Clan origin no longer mattered. The Uchiha clan could become Hokage. The Hyuga clan could become Hokage. Anyone with sufficient ability and the trust of the village could be considered. Among the first names placed on the future candidate list was Shisui Uchiha. Hashirama and Tobarama then selected the next Hokage. Their first choice was Minato Namikaze. Orochimaru had also been nominated. In truth, his contributions to Konoha's scientific development, medicine, and research exceeded Minato's. However, he rejected the position without hesitation. I have research to do. Those 5 words ended the discussion. Minato accepted the position. At first, everything went smoothly. Then reality arrived, Every day he handled village administration. Every day he entered dungeons. Every day he trained. Every day he still wanted to spend time with Kushina and Naruto. Within months, the paperwork had become overwhelming. One day, Minato walked into Orochimaru's laboratory. I have a proposal. Orochimaru didn't even look up from his experiment. I refuse. You haven't heard it yet. I already know what it is. Minato smiled helplessly. The workload is too much for one Hokage. Silence. So, I propose that Konoha have two Hokage serving at the same time. This time, Orochimaru finally looked up. Continue. Several days later, the proposal was officially approved. Konoha now had two active Hokage. Minato managed diplomacy, military affairs, and administration. Orochimaru oversaw research, education, medicine, and technological development. Orochimaru had finally found a peaceful life devoted entirely to research. Unfortunately for him, Minato dragged him back into politics. As for Kakashi, he sat in today's meeting with an expression of complete resignation. Not because he wanted to, but because everyone else had already decided. After Minato and Orochimaru completed their terms, Kakashi had been selected as the next Hokage. Entirely against his own wishes. Guy sat beside him, laughing loudly. I'm here to make sure you don't run away. Kakashi rubbed his forehead. I've been betrayed by my own friends. The room filled with laughter. The atmosphere gradually relaxed. Only then did Hashirama look around the conference table. Now, let's begin today's meeting. The smiles slowly disappeared. Everyone's expressions became serious. The real reason for gathering was about to be discussed. Chapter 193, The Hyuga clan's request inside the Hokage office. The atmosphere was unusually serious. Minato looked around the conference table. Today's topic, the Hyuga clan. Orochimaru placed several documents on the table. The caged bird seal. Everyone became serious. Unlike previous meetings, this wasn't a military issue. Nor was it related to another village. It was an internal clan matter. Orochimaru began explaining. The caged bird seal isn't a major problem for most ordinary members of the branch family. They live normal lives. They complete ordinary missions. They rarely reach the upper levels of the dungeon system. He pointed to another report. But, for the branch family's geniuses, it has become a serious problem. As elite branch members become stronger through the dungeon system, the main family increasingly orders them to participate in dangerous dungeon expeditions. If they refuse, the caged bird seal is used as a threat. The stronger they become, the less freedom they possess. Kakashi frowned. So the dungeon system has unintentionally made an old problem much worse. Exactly. Orochimaru replied. Guy folded his arms. So why don't we simply order the Hyuga clan to stop? Minato slowly shook his head. We can't. He looked around the room. When Konoha was founded, the first and second Hokage established one important principle. The Hokage would never interfere in the internal affairs of a clan. That promise allowed every founding clan to trust the village. Tobirama nodded. It was one of Konoha's foundations. Hiruzen and Danzo ignored that principle several times. But, Orochimaru calmly finished the sentence. We have no intention of repeating their mistakes. The room fell silent. Then Minato smiled faintly. Fortunately, this problem came to us. Everyone looked toward him. Minato continued. The current Hyuga clan head, Hiashi Hyuga, personally requested our assistance. Kakashi looked surprised. Hiashi himself. Minato nodded. Yes, he doesn't support the current relationship between the main family and the branch family. He especially hates the caged bird seal. Hashirama looked confused. Then why hasn't he abolished it? Minato sighed. It's not that simple. Hiashi has responsibilities as clan head. And, he also has a twin brother. Hisashi Hyuga, the head of the branch family. Hisashi himself bears the caged bird seal. The room became quiet. Minato continued. Hiashi has watched his own twin brother endure the pain of that seal for years. He can't bear seeing his brother, or the other branch family members, treated that way. But, he also cannot simply ignore centuries of clan tradition. He requested help, without asking the Hokage to violate Konoha's founding principles. Hashirama suddenly smiled. I think, I've found the simplest solution. Everyone turned toward him. The Hyuga clan is descended from Hamura. He shrugged. So, just tell Hamura. Silence. Guy blinked. That's your solution. Hashirama laughed. Why not? The Hokage shouldn't interfere. The Hyuga clan's ancestor can. He isn't the type of person who refuses to admit his descendants made mistakes. If they're wrong, he'll correct them himself. And honestly, Hashirama scratched his head. I doubt he even knows this happened. For thousands of years, he and Hagoromo guarded the Pure Land. After returning, they've spent almost all their time adapting to the new era. They're either running dungeons, or trying to catch up with everything they missed. I doubt Hamura has had time to investigate what happened to his descendants over the last 1,000 years. The room remained silent. Even Tobirama slowly nodded. Simple. It doesn't violate Konoha's laws. It doesn't interfere with clan affairs. and it allows the Hyuga clan to solve its own internal problem. Orochimaru smiled. You've definitely been influenced by those 5 researchers. Hashirama laughed. Maybe. If the simplest solution works, why search for a complicated one? Minato looked toward Hiashi, who had been quietly waiting outside the conference room. He invited him inside. Hiashi, we've reached a decision. You should contact your ancestor. Tell Lord Hamura everything. The decision should come from the founder of your bloodline. Hiashi remained silent for several moments. Then, he bowed deeply. Thank you. I will tell Lord Hamura everything, without hiding a single detail. With that, the direction of the Hyuga clan's future was placed in the hands of the man from whom the clan itself had descended. Chapter 194, A Conversation Across 1,000 Years. That evening, Hiashi Hyuga stood alone in his courtyard. His hands were slightly trembling, not from fear, but from uncertainty. How was he supposed to explain 1,000 years of his clan's history to the man who had founded their bloodline? Taking a deep breath, he opened his phone. After the server merger, every revived legendary figure had been given a verified account. Among them was one name, Hamura Otsutsuki. Hiashi hesitated for a long time, then finally sent a message. Hiashi Hyuga, Lord Hamura. I am Hiashi Hyuga, the current head of the Hyuga clan. I apologize for disturbing you. I wish to discuss a matter concerning our clan. Only a few seconds later, a reply came. Hamura Otsutsuki, you are my descendant. There is no need to apologize. Tell me what happened. Hiashi looked at the message. He closed his eyes. Then, he began writing. He explained everything. The division between the main family and the branch family. The creation of the caged bird seal centuries after Hamura's death. Its original purpose of protecting the Byakugan. How later generations gradually turned it into a tool of control. The suffering of the branch family. The traditions that no one dared challenge. The recent changes brought by the dungeon system. The pressure placed upon talented members of the branch family. The abuse of the seal. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was exaggerated. Finally, Hiashi typed the most difficult sentence. Lord Hamura, I am the head of the main family. My younger twin brother, Hisashi, is the head of the branch family. He also bears the caged bird seal. Every time I see that mark, I feel ashamed. Several minutes passed. No reply came. Far away, Hamura quietly finished reading every message. He read it once. Then, he read it again. Hagoromo noticed his unusually serious expression. What happened? Hamura handed him the phone. Read it. After several minutes, Hagoromo slowly put the phone down. Neither brother spoke. Finally, Hamura sighed. So, my descendants chose this path. Hagoromo nodded. It seems so. Hamura looked out the window. I don't blame the descendants who created the seal. They lived in a different era. They wished to protect the Byakugan. But, he closed his eyes. They should never have forgotten. That family exists to protect its members. Not for its members to become prisoners of the family. Hagoromo quietly smiled. So, what will you do? Hamura's answer came immediately. I'm going. The Hyuga clan is still my family. If they have lost their way, as their ancestor, it is my responsibility to guide them back. He picked up the phone again. Hamura Otsutsuki, Hiashi. Thank you for telling me the truth. Tomorrow, gather every member of the Hyuga clan. Main family, branch family, elders, children, everyone. I will come personally. Hiashi stared at the message. For several moments, he couldn't move. Finally, he bowed deeply toward the phone. Thank you, ancestor. The next morning, notices spread throughout the Hyuga compound. Every member of the clan was ordered to attend. No exceptions, no excuses. No one knew why. Only Hiashi understood. Tomorrow, the Hyuga clan would face the man whose blood still flowed through every one of them. And for the first time in 1,000 years, their ancestor would ask a simple question. How did my family become like this? From https://chat-gpt.com/c/6A3ccb03-5bfc-83E8-A3b2-42FC9F4947F6. Chapter 195, Hamura's Judgment. The next morning, every member of the Hyuga clan gathered inside the clan's main hall. The main family, the branch family, clan elders, children, every person carrying the Hyuga bloodline was present. No one dared to speak. Hiashi stood at the front of the hall. Beside him, his younger twin brother, Hisashi. The caged bird seal on Hisashi's forehead was clearly visible. Hiashi looked at it briefly before lowering his head. A few moments later, the doors slowly opened. Minato entered first, followed by Orochimaru, Hashirama, Tobirama. Then, a man with long silver hair calmly walked inside. The moment every Hyuga saw his face, the entire hall fell silent. Hiashi immediately knelt. So this descendant greets Lord Hamura. Hisashi knelt as well. Then every elder. Then every member of the main family. Finally, the entire branch family followed. Hamura looked around the hall. Then sighed helplessly. Stand. I'm your ancestor. I'm not someone you should kneel before. Slowly, everyone stood. Hamura's eyes wandered through the crowd. He noticed the same symbol again and again. The caged bird seal. Children bore it, adults bore it, old men bore it, even Hisashi, the younger brother of the clan head, carried it. Hamura finally spoke. Hisashi, yesterday, you told me everything. Thank you, for hiding nothing. Hisashi lowered his head. I had no right to hide the truth from my ancestor. Hamura nodded. Then he looked toward the elders of the main family. I have only one question. Who created the caged bird seal? One elderly clan elder stepped forward. It was created centuries after your era. I see. Hamura nodded. So, I bear no responsibility for its creation. The elder quickly shook his head. No, Lord Hamura. Hamura raised a hand. But, I do bear responsibility. For the people who inherited my blood. The hall became completely silent. Hamura slowly walked toward Hisashi. Stopping only an arm's length away. He quietly looked at the seal. Then gently placed one hand on Hisashi's forehead. I understand why your ancestors created it. They feared enemies stealing the Byakugan. They wished to protect the clan. That intention was not wrong. The main family elders quietly nodded. Then Hamura continued. But somewhere, you forgot something. The branch family is family. They are not servants. They are not tools. They are certainly not slaves. His voice remained calm, yet every word struck the hall like thunder. Hamura slowly turned toward the main family. Tell me, when your children laugh, do the branch family's children not laugh as well? When your parents cry, do the branch family's parents not cry? When your brother is injured, does his blood flow a different color? No one answered, because there was no answer. Hamura looked directly at Hisashi. You asked me to correct my descendants, so I shall. He turned toward everyone. From today onward, the caged bird seal shall never again be used to force a member of the branch family into any dungeon, or to threaten them for refusing. If someone wishes to grow stronger, they will do so by choice, not fear. Hisashi immediately bowed. I accept. Hisashi also bowed. I accept. The elders of both families followed. Hamura smiled faintly. This is only the first step. The Hyuga clan has spent centuries walking this path. It cannot be corrected in one day. But, he looked at every descendant before him. If every generation takes one step toward one another, then someday, there will no longer be a main family, or a branch family, there will simply be the Hyuga clan. The hall remained silent. Many members of the branch family lowered their heads. Several quietly wiped tears from their eyes. Even some elders of the main family looked ashamed. Outside the hall, Hashirama smiled. I knew he'd handle it. Tobarama nodded. We didn't interfere. The clan solved its own problem. Orochimaru looked toward Minato. The simplest solution. Minato smiled. And perhaps, the best one. The first step toward healing a division that had lasted for centuries had finally been taken by the only man every member of the Hyuga clan could truly call ancestor. Chapter 196, 1,000 Years of Burden. Hamura's words echoed throughout the Hyuga clan's main hall. No one spoke. No one dared to. After several minutes, an elderly branch family member slowly stepped forward. His hair was completely white. The caged bird seal on his forehead had faded with age, but it was still clearly visible. He bowed deeply. Lord Hamura, I have one request. Hamura looked at him. Speak freely. The old man took a deep breath. Please, don't blame the current generation. The entire hall turned toward him. The people standing here didn't create this system. They were simply born into it. The main family children were taught from birth that protecting the clan meant controlling the branch family. The branch family children were taught from birth that obedience was their duty. We all accepted it, because we believed our ancestors had decided this was the correct path. The old man smiled bitterly. We never imagined that our own ancestor would one day stand before us and tell us we were wrong. Hamura quietly listened. Hisashi stepped forward next. The elder is correct. I inherited the position of clan head. I inherited the traditions. I inherited the responsibilities. But, I never inherited the answer. He looked toward Hisashi. Every time I looked at the caged bird seal on my brother's forehead, I questioned whether our ancestors truly intended for the clan to become like this. I wanted to change it. But I couldn't find a way without tearing the clan apart. Hisashi smiled faintly. My brother isn't lying. He argued with the elders countless times. He delayed ceremonies. He protected many members of the branch family whenever he could. But, the tradition was older than either of us. It couldn't be broken by one person. The main family elders lowered their heads. One of them stepped forward. We opposed Lord Hisashi many times. We believed preserving tradition was preserving the clan. We now understand. We confused tradition with truth. Silence returned. Hamura slowly looked across every face in the hall. Children from the main family stood beside children from the branch family. Neither group understood why they had ever been separated. Only the adults carried that burden. Finally, Hamura smiled gently. I understand. You weren't protecting hatred. You were protecting what you believed was my will. Every Hyuga looked up. But, He shook his head. It never was. My wish was never for one branch of my family to rule another. It was for every descendant carrying my blood, to protect one another. Hamura turned toward Hiashi. You asked me yesterday to guide this family, so here is my decision. Do not abolish the caged bird seal today. The hall was stunned. Even Hiashi looked surprised. Hamura continued calmly. A 1,000-year-old system cannot disappear overnight. If you destroy it without preparation, the clan itself may split apart. So instead, let me help you, as your ancestor. A faint ripple passed through the hall. Hamura raised his hand. Bring me the caged bird seal. I will modify it. It will no longer be a tool of control, but a seal of protection. The elders looked at one another in shock. Hamura's gaze sharpened slightly. But understand this clearly. If this seal is to remain, then it will no longer belong to only one side. His voice carried quiet authority. From this day onward, every member of the Hyuga clan, including the so-called main family, will bear this mark. The hall froze. The main family elders widened their eyes. The branch family members stared in disbelief. Hiashi stepped forward slowly. I accept. Without hesitation, Hisashi looked at his brother. Then smiled. I accept as well. One by one, the elders bowed. Then the entire clan followed. Hamura nodded. This seal will no longer divide you. It will remind you that you are one family. He looked across every face. And one day, when you no longer need it, you will remove it together. Silence filled the hall once more. But this time, it was not heavy. It was steady. Outside the hall, Hashirama smiled. Now that's a solution. Tobarama crossed his arms. Equal burden, equal responsibility. Orochimaru's eyes gleamed faintly. Fascinating. Minato simply smiled. And fair. Inside the hall, for the first time in centuries, the Hyuga clan stood not as divided branches, but as one family, taking their first true step forward. Chapter 197, The New Caged Bird Seal. The entire Hyuga clan watched in silence. Hamura slowly walked toward the center of the hall. His right hand formed several unfamiliar seals. No one recognized them, not even Orochimaru, not even Tobarama. A silver light spread throughout the hall. Every caged bird seal began glowing. One after another, Hamura closed his eyes. Thousands of years of understanding flowed through his fingertips. The original seal was rewritten, not destroyed, improved. Several minutes later, the light disappeared. Hamura slowly opened his eyes. It's finished. Everyone instinctively touched the marks on their foreheads. Nothing seemed different. Hiashi looked confused. Lord Hamura. Hamura smiled faintly. Look in the nearest mirror. Several clan members immediately did so. The next second, gasps echoed throughout the hall. The seal. It's gone. My forehead is clean. Hamura nodded. It hasn't disappeared. It has simply become invisible. It will only appear if the owner wishes to reveal it. The branch family members looked at one another in disbelief. For the first time in their lives, they could walk outside without the mark announcing their status to everyone they met. Then Hamura continued. I have also removed the control function. A ripple spread through the hall. And I have removed the blind spot effect. Every Hyuga widened their eyes. The greatest weaknesses of the caged bird seal had disappeared. No one could torture the wearer through the seal. No one would lose part of their vision because of it. The hall remained completely silent. Then Hamura's expression became serious. However, I have added something new. His voice echoed through the entire hall. If anyone attempts to tamper with this seal, I will know. The atmosphere instantly froze. The moment someone attempts to alter it, it will immediately send a signal to me. Hamura's usually gentle eyes became sharp. And then, they should prepare to face my wrath. No one doubted him, not a single person. Even the main family elders unconsciously straightened their backs. Hamura continued. This seal no longer belongs to the main family. It belongs to the entire Hyuga clan. As I declared yesterday, every member of the clan will bear it equally. There will be no exceptions. Hiashi stepped forward and bowed. We understand. Hamura nodded. But this is only temporary. Everyone looked toward him. The seal's true purpose now is to protect the Byakugan. It is no longer meant to control people. He raised one finger. When a Hyuga reaches level 10, they will receive a key. The hall became quiet once more. Hamura explained. That key belongs only to the owner. No elder, no clan head, not even I, can use it. When you receive the key, you alone will decide whether to keep the seal or erase it forever. Hiashi slowly smiled. So, the choice finally belongs to each individual. Hamura nodded. Exactly. Trust cannot exist without choice. You cannot protect your family by taking away their freedom. Outside the hall, Hashirama smiled broadly. I like that ending. Tobarama nodded. The seal still protects the Byakugan, but no one can abuse it. Orochimaru's eyes sparkled with curiosity. A seal that changes authority into personal choice. Remarkable. Minato quietly looked at the smiling faces inside the hall. For the first time in centuries, The branch family members touched their foreheads. Not with fear, but with relief. The caged bird seal still existed. But from this day onward, its owner would finally be the one who decided its fate. Chapter 198, The Hyuga Clan's New Beginning. News spread throughout Konoha within a single day. The Hyuga clan had changed, not through a revolution, not through force, but through the words of their own ancestor. The first change became immediately noticeable. The branch family's caged bird seals had vanished from sight. Children no longer grew up with a visible mark on their foreheads. To outsiders, there was no longer any visible difference between the main family and the branch family. Inside the Hyuga compound, many branch family children looked into mirrors for the first time. One little girl smiled brightly. "Mother, my forehead is beautiful." Her mother gently hugged her. Tears quietly rolled down her face. For years, she had feared the day her daughter would receive the mark. Now, no one outside the clan would ever know. Elsewhere, several main family children were equally confused. One young boy asked his father, "Father, why do I have the same seal now?" His father smiled. "Because we're family. No one should carry the burden alone." The boy nodded happily. "I like that." Meanwhile, Hiyashi and Hizashi stood together beneath the old training tree where they had played as children. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, Hizashi laughed. "You finally got your wish." Hiyashi smiled bitterly. "It wasn't my wish, it was our ancestors' courage." Hizashi looked toward the clan hall. "No, it was your courage. You were the one who asked for help." Hiyashi remained silent. For years, he had wanted to change the clan. But every solution he found only created more conflict. Now, someone had shown him another path. Inside the Hokage office, Hashirama looked through the latest reports. No disturbances, no resistance. The Hyuga accepted the decision peacefully. Tobarama nodded. As expected, they accepted the judgment because it came from someone they all respected equally. Minato smiled. The village never interfered. The Hyuga solved the Hyuga's problem. Orochimaru closed the report. A perfect political solution. Guy laughed loudly. And nobody had to punch anyone. Kakashi looked up from his book. That's probably the most surprising part. Everyone laughed. Far away, Hamura quietly watched the Hyuga compound from a nearby hill. Hagoromo stood beside him. "You seem satisfied." Hamura nodded. "I am. But this isn't the end. It's only the beginning. The seal no longer controls them. Now, they must learn to trust each other." Hagoromo smiled. "That will take time." Hamura nodded. 1,000 years created this division. It won't disappear in one generation. But he watched as children from both families played together. None of them cared who belonged to which branch. They've already taken the hardest first step. At that moment, a notification appeared on every Hyuga's phone. Hyuga clan notices ordered by our ancestor, Lord Hamura. Every Hyuga who reaches level 10 will receive the personal key to their own caged bird seal. From that day onward, the decision to keep or remove the seal belongs solely to its owner. No elder, no clan head, no family member may make that choice for them. The notification spread quickly through the clan. Many members quietly smiled, not because they intended to remove the seal immediately, but because, for the first time in 1,000 years, the choice belonged to them. And sometimes, freedom did not begin with removing chains. It began with having the right to decide whether to wear them at all. Chapter 199, The Next Generation. The day after the Hyuga clan meeting, life in Konoha returned to normal. Or at least, as normal as life could be with the dungeon system. Early in the morning, two familiar figures stood before a level 14 dungeon. Kakashi Hatake, Might Guy. Since the dungeon system first appeared, the two had formed a permanent team. No matter how busy they became, no matter how many missions they received, they always entered the dungeon together. Guy stretched his shoulders before grinning. "Kakashi, today's the day." Kakashi glanced at his status panel. Level 14. Experience, 98%. He closed the screen. Looks like it. Guy laughed loudly. "After today's dungeon, we'll finally reach level 15. Both understood what that meant. According to the standards the researchers had released, level 14 marked the beginning of Admiral level strength. Level 15 placed someone firmly within that realm. Within the ninja world's own understanding, they would already possess strength comparable to the legendary super cage of previous generations. And they were only 15 years old. They were rapidly catching up to the generation that had once seemed impossibly distant. Guy clenched his fists. "I can't wait to see old man Hashirama's face." Kakashi closed his book. "You mean the look he'll give us before telling us we're still too weak?" Guy froze. That actually sounds possible." Both laughed. The dungeon gate slowly opened. Dungeon selected. Frost Giant Valley. Recommended level, 14 to 15. Without hesitation, the two stepped inside. A freezing wind greeted them. Snow covered everything. Towering ice cliffs surrounded the valley. In the distance, the footsteps of enormous creatures echoed across the frozen landscape. Guy cracked his knuckles. "I'll take the front." Kakashi nodded. All support. The first frost giant appeared. Nearly 6 meters tall. Its club alone was larger than Guy. The giant roared. Guy smiled. 8 gates. First gate. Open. He shot forward like a green comet. Boom. One punch landed directly on the giant's chest. The massive creature staggered backward. At the same moment, Kakashi disappeared. Lightning flashed. The frost giant's legs were cut from beneath it. Guy leapt into the air. Dynamic entry. The giant crashed into the frozen ground. Another 3 giants charged from behind. Without turning around, Kakashi calmly formed hand seals. Lightning style. Purple lightning. Countless bolts spread across the battlefield. The advancing giants froze for a single moment. That was enough. Guy appeared among them like a whirlwind. Each punch, each kick, sent another giant flying. The battle continued deeper into the valley. Their coordination was flawless. They no longer needed words. A glance, a movement, a change in breathing. Each immediately understood the other's intention. High above, several Anbu members watched in silence. One finally spoke. They're monsters. Another shook his head. No, they're the next generation. Deep inside the dungeon, the frost giant king slowly opened its eyes. Its icy blue gaze locked onto the 2 teenagers approaching its throne. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. Our experience bar. Guy checked his status. 99%. Both smiled. One final battle separated them. From level 15. Chapter 200. The boss battle. The frost giant king slowly rose from its frozen throne. Its height exceeded 10 meters. A giant battle axe rested upon its shoulder. The moment it opened its eyes, the entire valley trembled. Guy grinned. So, this is the final fight. Kakashi slowly drew his sword. This battle takes us to level 15. The frost giant king roared. The sound shook the mountains. Without another word, both charged forward. The giant swung its axe downward. Boom! The frozen ground exploded. Guy vanished. Using moonwalk, he stepped through the air. At the same moment, Kakashi appeared beside the giant. His sword flashed. Unlike before, his blade was now covered in deep black armament haki. Purple lightning crackled along the edge. The 2 powers merged perfectly. Lightning style, purple lightning. Armament haki. A single slash left a deep wound across the frost giant king's arm. The giant roared in pain. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. His left eye contained Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan. His right eye was no longer an ordinary eye. 3 tomo slowly spun within it. His own Sharingan had finally awakened. Year ago, when the shop system first opened, Kakashi had immediately searched for one item. Uchiha Bloodline Crystal. Price: 5,000 gold coins. For most people, it was an enormous gamble. The crystal only granted the Uchiha bloodline. It did not awaken the Sharingan. Anyone purchasing it still had to awaken the eyes through their own experiences. Or spend even more gold buying awakened Sharingan directly. Very few people were willing to take that risk. But Kakashi was different. He didn't need awakened eyes. He only needed a genuine Uchiha body. Ever since receiving Obito's eye, nearly 60% of his chakra had been permanently consumed just to maintain it. Despite possessing incredible talent, he had remained limited by that burden. Fortunately, he wasn't alone. After the first multi-team monster horde dungeon ended, Tsukumo Hatake had earned an enormous amount of gold. Although he spent most of it purchasing armament haki, observation haki, and several swordsmanship manuals. When he learned Kakashi wanted the Uchiha bloodline crystal, he transferred nearly all of his remaining savings to his son. It still wasn't enough. Then, Minato quietly sent another portion. Kushina added her own savings without hesitation. Guy, after purchasing only the basic haki he wanted, tried to send almost everything else to Kakashi. You need it more than I do, he had simply said. Even Dai, hearing that Kakashi was his son's closest friend, contributed part of his own gold. Finally, adding his own savings, Kakashi had barely gathered enough. The moment he absorbed the crystal, something unexpected happened. His right eye immediately evolved. 3 tomo appeared almost instantly. The years of grief, the pain of losing Obito, the countless battles, his emotions had already fulfilled the requirements. What he lacked had only been the bloodline itself. Now, both eyes finally worked together naturally. His chakra consumption had dropped dramatically. For the first time since Obito's sacrifice, Kakashi could truly fight at full strength. Across the battlefield, Guy had also changed tremendously. His fists were covered in pitch-black armament haki. Every punch distorted the surrounding air. Unlike haki, the 6 powers were purely physical techniques. Anyone could learn them. Guy had purchased the manuals year ago, then personally taught every technique to Guy. They mastered all 6, but in actual combat, they rarely used more than 3. Moonwalk, paper art, shave, those techniques perfectly matched their high-speed taijutsu. The remaining 3, although mastered, didn't suit their fighting style. Haki, however, was completely different. It couldn't simply be taught. It was a power system unique to the pirate world. When someone purchased basic armament haki or basic observation haki from the shop, the system temporarily borrowed a tiny fragment of the pirate world's laws. It used that fragment to awaken Haki within the buyer's body. Once the awakening was complete, the fragment returned to the shop. From then onward, the buyer's body had already adapted to the pirate world's laws. Just like a native of that world, they could continue training and improving their Haki naturally. If they possessed the necessary qualities, they could even awaken Conqueror's Haki on their own in the future. Advanced Haki could also be purchased directly. But almost nobody did. Haki represented a person's will. Strengthening another person's will artificially was extraordinarily expensive. Fortunately, after the first multi-team Monster Horde dungeon ended, the shop had held a limited time event. For a short period, the price of basic Haki awakening had been reduced to a fraction of its normal cost. Taking advantage of that opportunity, a large number of shinobi had purchased both armament and observation Haki. That single event had completely transformed the ninja world's future. Back inside the dungeon, the Frost Giant King swung its axe once more. Guy disappeared with Shave. Kakashi flashed behind the giant. One attacked with overwhelming physical power, the other with flawless precision. Their teamwork left the Frost Giant King with no opportunity to retaliate. The battle had reached its final stage, and both teenagers could already see it. The notification they had worked towards since the dungeon system first appeared. Level 15.